If you're looking to break revenue goals, paid ads is the way. And I'm making this video because I want to share the 10 lessons I've learned when it comes to running ads since 2017, whether you are a local business, a software company, e-commerce brands, or a manufacturer selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of products to the general public, dealers, or other suppliers. So with that being said, you're going to be able to understand this and implement this. And if you want more of these videos, make sure to subscribe. It keeps me motivated to produce more content for you guys, and like. So with that being said, if you want these types of results, keep watching. So the first lesson we want to talk about is clarity over creativity. Now, creativity can match your brand, but it can also hurt you because clarity will open up someone's wallets. Creativity is going to open up questions that we're not able to address because we are targeting people online. So what I mean by that is when you are describing your product, let's say we're selling a sneaker. We don't want to say style redefined for modern era. We want to say instead premium leather sneakers that feel like running shoes. Because with the second sentence, they're able to connect your product with something they're familiar with. And we want to keep everything basic down to a 5th grade reading level. People do not want to use brain power, and that's just how we're designed. If we have to process information in order for someone to purchase, the likelihood of them converting is going to drop drastically. So be extremely clear on what you're saying. And this even goes from the ad itself over to the landing page. You do not want to change anything, whether it's your offer, how you position your offer, and how you're positioning that on the landing page. Everything needs to be congruent and be clear, or I'm telling you, you're going to be blowing a lot of money and you're not going to realize what is the issue. So be very clear with your advertising. Lesson number 2, speed to lead. Now, this is something that I experienced till this day with many companies, and even when I'm looking for a service. And recently I have an assault bike that I somehow destroyed. So I went onto Google, I reached out to a couple companies, and the first one that got to me, granted, it was 8 hours later, and the other two were like 24, 48 hours. And of course, I went with the first one, but speed to lead means everything. And a lot of times businesses are losing because not because they have a poor service, they have bad reviews, it's because they're so darn slow. And there's so many softwares out there that can solve this problem for $10 a month or even less, and no one's taken advantage of it. And there's been countless studies on how if you contact someone within the first 5 minutes of them submitting a form or calling you, you're 9 times more likely for them to convert. And this is something that you must have in place before you run ads, or even when it comes to word of mouth, have an automation in place to shorten that speed to lead and get these individuals to convert. Now, when it comes to running ads online and selling online, and this is lesson number 3, is it's very common for people to disrespect the sales cycle. Now, imagine if you were in person with an individual and you tried selling them right off the gate, right? It's gonna be extremely uncomfortable. It's kind of like dating. There's stages to it. You take someone out to coffee, and the next day, maybe you go to the movies, you're texting back and forth about interests. But imagine that first date, you take them out to coffee, and then you're like, so how do you feel about kids? All right, so like maybe we could probably, schedule an engagement shoot the following week, and then our wedding, and then probably have kids in like month 6. They're gonna probably put a restraining order on you. And I wish they could do the same process in the sales cycle with online advertising, but you don't want to disrespect it. So if you know your prospects need a significant amount of content to convert, you should have this on the organic side, or have the same exact strategy with paid ads and use sequences and emails. Because if someone opts into your service, They are interested, so you should automatically nurture them using emails or video content or blogs and send this over to them, because it's going to help shorten that sales cycle and not disrespect the sales process. Then going to make you a lot more money if you have that in place. Lesson number 4 is that data is king. In order to have a successful campaign, you need to follow the numbers, and the numbers are all in front of you. So let's say, even if you've never ran ads before, if you want to find out what's currently working, you could see your competitors' ads. There's tools in place that you can use to see an ad that's been running the longest and what they're saying, how they're positioning their ad, what is their offer, if they're including people, if they're talking about the product. And we can then replicate that process. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. If there's an issue with your website, you don't want to just guess and say you have a traffic issue. There's industry standard benchmarks in place that you should be following to identify if there's a form issue or a checkout issue, depending on how much traffic has come onto your website. So follow the data. People lie, numbers don't. Data will always be king. Lesson number 5. Paid ads is a machine and it is not a gamble. There have been many marketers at an entry level, I want to give you guys some credit, and even business owners that tend to just throw $500 on Facebook or on Google and just say, yeah, paid ads don't work. It's a machine. There needs to be testing. There has to be a process in place. You have to understand market research. You have to understand ad positioning, and it will eventually convert that $1 into 3, 4, and 5. It's kind of like a vending machine. You put $1 in, you select your drink, and you get your drink. It's not magic. There's a system that's behind there that's converting that $1 to press number 2 to give you a Pepsi. Just like paid ads, you need to understand how this process works and understand what to look for to make that machine work. So with that being said, paid ads is not gambling. You just have to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, hire someone that knows what they're doing. All right, here's a big one. Lesson number 6, don't sell to everyone. So when you sell to everyone, you sell to no one. Each individual will purchase a product for many different reasons. So for example, Ferrari, people purchase that car because they love the status it gives them. People purchase that car because they love the history behind it. People love that car because they think it's going to bring them a bunch of girls, so on and so forth. So in order to sell a Ferrari to someone, there are different pockets of audiences you can target to sell that product. Same goes for water. People want water to water their plants or for themselves, for hydration at the gym. So you need to understand, even though your product could be for anyone, find an audience to target and focus on them and slowly break into other audiences. One company that did this extremely well is Black Rifle Coffee. They're a coffee product that stands for the First Amendment, and they are huge. They identified who they're looking to target and the product they have, and they hit the ground running. So be sure on who you're targeting down to the specific level and not just anyone and everyone. Lesson number 7, you want to sell the outcome, not the product. Now, this is kind of, this could be common sense, but it still happens, right? Like, I'm not making this video because I like to talk on camera. I'm making this video because I'm selling you the idea of not making these 10 mistakes so you could get more leads, make more money, have a smoother business, and then potentially hire me to implement this process for you. So when you're going to advertise a product, you're selling the outcome of it, whether it's to make their life easier, whether it's to give them status. You're selling the outcome of that product. Lesson number 8, price would always speak on quality. If you are the cheapest option, people are going to believe that you're cutting corners. If you're positioned higher, people are going to associate your product or better quality, better service, potentially it's going to bring them status. So a lot of companies and businesses tend to fear on higher price options because they're going to think it's going to hurt them, but it's actually going to drive them more revenue because you're never going to be able to lower your costs on fulfillment or advertising. Usually those costs are fixed, if not increasing. So increasing your price will only serve you well. So keep that in mind when it comes to advertising. If you're looking to get in front of an audience and you think lowering your price is going to be your better option, it won't. It will never be your better option. People are just going to associate your product with a discounted brand. And some people don't like that, other people do. So with that being said, charge more. Lesson number 9 might be a little controversial, but friction is good. There's a lot of hype around having no friction. For example, having one-click checkout, instant signups, like zero barriers, is sending people right through. But the issue with that could be a couple things. So if you are generating leads and you have nothing but multiple choice, that's going to lower the quality of lead that you're getting. If you have questions in place and each question has to be manually typed out, you're asking for a commitment. And this is not only going to increase your quality, it's also going to help you out in that sales process. Because if you have 3 questions in place or 4 questions in place, or maybe even 5, and someone is typing out each answer, that lead itself has a high commitment on getting that issue addressed. So friction is good in certain areas of advertising in the digital world. And lastly, technology is the edge that you need. So when it comes to advertising online, I mentioned before, like for example, that speed to lead, having a software in place is a technology you need to have that edge. Using a Facebook pixel that is provided to you and having a form with conditional logic, but having that pixel on the page of the lead that's most qualified and sending that data back to Facebook is a technology that's going to give you the edge over having a discount. So these are going to be the 10 lessons in place if you want to have a well-smooth machine in your company when it comes to running paid ads. So having technology is the edge to not work harder, but to work smarter. And if you want to work smarter and eliminate these worries and implementing it yourself, you're going to have the opportunity to schedule a call below, have our team run your ads, optimize your account, and print you more money. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with more content to make you guys more money. Thanks for watching.